back. This is Daybreak. Thank you for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. Dr. Makali Mulu is the MP representing Kitui Central Constituency. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning, Ayub. Good morning.
Lovely having you here on the broadcast.
Good morning, viewers.
Dismas Mukua is a political and governance commentator. Good morning, Dismas.
Good morning.
Thanks for your time. Peter Opondo Kaluma is the Homa Bay Town MP, also joins us this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Ayub.
Eric Wamumbi is joining us from Madira constituency in Nyeri County. He is the lawmaker representing that constituency in itself, where the president spent his night last night. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Ayub, and thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us. First, to begin with you, on day one of President's visit to the counties of Laikipia and Nyeri counties, was it more of politics than development as the plan was?
Well, Ayub, when I spoke last, I said that this visit will be a development one, and clearly it was a development one. The president is doing a development visit. We saw him launch and commission tens and tens of projects. We are not doing politics, and we agreed that this is not a political visit. It's a development visit. When the time for politics comes, we will do politics. This is time for development, and people have agreed, especially the people of Nyeri, have agreed that what they need for now is development. We have seen the president launch markets. We have seen him inspect the ongoing roads. We have seen inspect the ongoing markets. So, Ayub, this is a purely development tour.
And can you explain, Honorable Member, the idea behind the president physically inspecting all these projects, including roads, when clearly there are distinct institutions and agencies that can undertake this without his presence?
No. Ayub, the buck stops with the president. I also inspect all the projects being done under NGCDF in Madera constituency. The buck stops with the president, and he needs to inspect all the ongoing projects, because when he is asked why a specific project is delayed, he will be able to answer the status progress of that project. And that's why you have seen the president mentions all the roads in this country and their status, because he inspects them himself. It is very important for the president, because he is the CEO, he is the boss. The buck stops with him when a certain project delays or stalls. It is the president who is supposed to answer those questions, and that's why the president, he has always, even when he was deputy, he has always inspected the projects. He has always shown interest to know where a certain project has reached, and so it is his responsibility to inspect where Mau Mau Roads has reached, where Kenomarwa Road has reached, where a certain market has reached. It is his responsibility, Ayub, to tell us where the Mau Mau, what is the status progress of Mau Mau Road. He is the one supposed to answer those questions to Kenyans, because he is the president of the Republic of Kenya, and he is the one who was mandated to be answering Kenyans where we are as far as the development of this country is concerned.
And you do understand, Honorable Member, that mandate given to the president is again otherwise handed to other institutions by virtue of appointments the president can make, or other institutions that are constitutionally mandated. It then means, is it that from your perspective and understanding, that development depends on whether the president sets foot in your region?
That is true, Ayub, and that's why the president only inspects from time to time. The other institutions follows from the time the project starts up to the time the project is completed. So the president maybe inspects once or twice, but the other institutions follows from when the project starts to when the project is completed. But maybe the president will inspect a certain road maybe once or twice, so that if he is asked a question on the state of progress, he can be able to answer. So it doesn't mean that the president inspects the projects all through from when it is started, maybe once or twice, like Mau Mau Road, which joins Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri, and Nyandarua. Okay. He will maybe inspect once or twice in its period of construction.
All right, and back to the studio, Honorable Peter Opondo Kaluma. What do you make of the President's Day 1 visit to the Central Kenya region?
Yeah, I'm very pleased by the reception the people of Mount Kenya, gave the President. And personally, remember I tweeted yesterday that I'm pleasantly, surprised. I'm saying today I'm pleased because to me it confirms that Kenyans are able to draw a line between fake news and propaganda, or things we politicians say there to mislead them, from the actual truth. Because when you remember the President arrived in Mount Kenya, he first had a media, interview with journalists from various media stations. And I keenly watched it from the beginning to the end. And if you watched the President lay out the development programs, the projects going on their stage and their state, currently, you naturally saw the journalists who would rather tell us there is nothing which has been happening in Mount Kenya, confirm that a lot is indeed happening. And so when you saw, the Mount Kenya people, whom we've been told by the media and, some, politicians, as people who have nothing to do with the President in terms of the reception, in terms of acknowledgement of what is actually happening in that region, if you leave aside what is happening in the country. It was very, pleasant. And I think it is a warning to us politicians that sometimes we need to read people better. You can say this about this political leader, but what the silent majority think of them is quite different. And personally, let me salute the people of Mount Kenya for that reception, for that engagement. You see them talking of, oh, this one was started, it is going slow, this one needs to be started, let us, be developed, even as other parts of the country is developed. And to me, I find that, quite pleasant, quite beautiful, and quite patriotic, and the way we indeed should go.
Okay, and Dismas, from a governance perspective, what do you make of the President's physical presence to inspect what otherwise is an exercise can be undertaken by government agencies, including the mandated one, on priority basis, and considering that some of these are stalled projects and others that are newly launched? And in your view, did politics override and otherwise what would have been a development tour for the President?
Well, this is a political tour colored in development tour or development inspection of development projects. There's no way you're going to have a political leader going to a place and you don't discuss politics. And for President Ruto, he had two responsibilities, or rather he's got two responsibilities during this tour. You remember from the time he was impeached, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua went back to Mount Kenya, and created a misinformation and disinformation infrastructure. And he has been running the reputation of President Ruto through the mud, saying that he has completely done nothing for Mount Kenya. But if you look at the basics countrywide, it appears that Mount Kenya receives the lion's share of development in Kenya. I mean, just have an helicopter view of the cabinet composition, the principal secretaries, heads of parastatos. It's tilted towards Mount Kenya. And majority of the people who live in Nairobi, they only get to interact with Mount Kenya when they land in Nairobi. And when you compare parts of, say, Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri, and Kisii, or even Homa Bay, or even Kitui, you see a huge disparity. But Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, because he's got a very high capacity, he's got the gift of the gab, he's a very good orator, and he knows how to create both emotional and irrational messages. So he knows how to connect people. And the people in Kenya that you must fear most are people who have served in the provincial administration. Right from the time they leave university, they're trained to move audiences. They're trained to address crowds. So they start addressing barazas in their early 20s, and they do it all the way up to 90. So Mr. Rigathi Gachagua has managed to create this perception that there's nothing happening in Mount Kenya, that every other place outside Mount Kenya is getting a lion's share. So that is one of his basic responsibility for President Ruto, to dismantle that infrastructure. And then number two, anytime a politician goes anywhere, They're working on growing and developing their political capital. As you've pointed out, some of these projects that the president is opening, under normal circumstances, they should be opened by members of the National Assembly, senators, and cabinet secretaries. Because the role of a leader is to create infrastructure which works for you, a system that works for you. Like, for instance, the MP that you've just been speaking to about, he dodged your questions. It does not need to have a president to go and open a school or to go and launch a particular project. The president is supposed to create a system, infrastructure that delivers for him. Because if you're going to let the president in Kenya launch every road, launch every power substation, then at what time is he going to deliver? But because we are in a political space, then the president must make an appearance. And then also the average Kenyan voter has been trained that if you do not see your political leader around, then they don't like you. So they need to see you. Others even want to touch you. Others want to see the motorcade. So again, it would be reckless for President Ruto, given the toxic political environment created by Rigathi Gachagua in Mount Kenya, not to go physically and assure his supporters that everything is okay. In fact, if he doesn't go, people may think that President Ruto is a coward and Rigathi Gachagua has won the war.
Okay, and Dr. Makali, coming to you. Then what happens, because we have 290 electoral units in the country that you and Honorable Peter Kaluma are just but a representation. If the president is to tour all these constituencies and the 47 counties, I mean, what then happens? Is it not episodic and the development will depend on whether the head of state visits your region or not?
Yeah, thank you, Ayub, for hosting us this morning. You know, Ayub, when you look at our constitution, it clearly stipulates that the presidency is a symbol of national unity. So in time you hear the president is coming to your region, or the deputy president, you might have to go there not because you like them or you agree with what they do, but because that's the presidency coming to your region. And that being the case, I agree with Kaluma when he says the president received some warm reception in central Kenya. To me, that should be expected. I don't think, from where I sit, if we came to Kampani today, where he got less than 10% of the votes, I would imagine we would still go out to receive the president because he's our president. But now, the truth of the matter is, I wish there was a way you could have put the pictures of yesterday's visit of President Ruto and the visit by Honorable Raila Moro to sometime to Nyeri, and you compare the magnitude. You realize Raila had more people than President Ruto yesterday. And I've seen some attempt in the social media, people trying to compare the two visits. That means, from where I sit, that the fact that people are attending your meetings does not translate to the political gains our friend is talking about here. So as we move to the future, anytime the president visits, I expect we'll be receiving him in different parts of the country. But as to whether we agree with what he does, that's another question. And that's why I don't agree with my colleague, the MP for Mandera, when he says that the president should be visiting every part of this country to launch and commission projects. You know, the truth of the matter is, me and Kaluma, we don't have governments. We are individuals. We only have a board called CDF board, which assists in implementation. But the president has a set of cabinet secretaries, maximum of, is it 22 or 20, who he has appointed. He has permanent secretaries. We are talking about a government. When you are managing a government, you can't be everywhere. You clock the system and you can't move. And that's why if you ask Kenyans, in the holidays, Kenyans would be able to tell you who are the ministers in a government. They will tell you so and so, so and so and so on. These days, you ask Kenyans who are the ministers of this government, they will struggle to go to number 5. They will count about 3, 4, and the game is done. They don't know them because the president has overshadowed them. They are not known. They are only there as figureheads. And that's why you see some of them are complaining. So we are saying it is the time the president learned the art of delegation. The reason why you have a government is to be able to delegate. so that when you delegate, you have much more time to think about the whole issue. The other thing which you can't run away from, you know, these projects is launching and commissioning. Some of them have been commissioned more than 3 times. So you find, and that's why Morala was in problems, because he was trying to say, showing them, you know, every time you launch a project, there is that which reads commissioned by Makali Mulu on this date. So you find in one project, and more so the roads, there is one at the far end of the road, there's another commissioning at the end of the road, more likely there will be one in the middle, so that you confuse people. The truth of the matter is, we are getting to the third year of Kenya Kwanza regime. Almost the 3rd year, because they have done, I think, 2+ plus. So this is not the time to start saying we are going to do. This is not the time of planning. It's the time of implementing. And then I hear people talk about a lot has been done. As a professional, I get concerned, because the start of every year, Ayub, I'm sure even where you work here, start of every year you have a planning session. Where you say, this year, we intend to achieve these targets. And that's what we do when we are doing the budget. When we do the national budget every year, there are clear outcomes and targets saying, this year, with this budget of this much, these are the expected outputs of the budget. So what I would imagine is, when Kenya Kwanza government took over, they had a manifesto, which was costed and clear targets, what was supposed to be achieved in terms of performance indicators. If you go to their manifesto, you realize they were saying, we'll do this number of kilometers of roads, we'll be able to do this water points, all that. What we should be doing now, we have hit the mid-year period, the mid-term period. What we should be hearing is, we had promised Kenyans we'll do 100 kilometers of tarmac. What have we done as at now? So if we have done 20%, it means you are 20% implementation. In that case, then you become more objective. I see a lot of sweeping statements, which in reality may not make a lot of sense if you say, I've achieved this, because they are not supported by any data. Okay. It is not evidence-informed.
So in your view, then, this is a trip or a visit meant to undo some of the inroads and forays made by the former deputy president than development to a...
Basically, to me, this was a political... You know, the thing is, after Gachagua was impeached, he's been playing alone in Mount Kenya region. The president has never been there. And the president, from where he sits, I'm sure he's getting a nice report that people don't like you there, this happens. So it's like testing the waters. If I go there, what happens? And as I told you earlier, nobody would be stupid to attack the presidency when they visit your region. More likely would just welcome them. But what I'm saying, from where I sit, I doubt whether politically there are any gains.
Okay, when we get back from the break, Honorable Wamumbi, Honorable Peter Pondo Kaluma, Dr. Makali Mulu, and Dismas will proceed with this discussion, including some of the statements made by the head of state during his media interview, including the fact-checking of what he said, and also the politics of handshakes and the theater of the revolving politicians within the gallery of politics in Kenya. All that after the break here on the broadcast. The hashtag on X is Citizen Day Break. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. We are back with more after the break here on the broadcast. Stay tuned.